All right, all right. I got the very extremely talented actor, producer, voiceover extraordinaire, Shane Johnson. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming.
Hey, man, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Oh,
Been a
no
while.
problem. Hey, thank you for coming again. Definitely appreciate your time. And you've been doing a lot and a lot of big things. And I'm glad that you was able to take the time to come back so we could talk a little bit about it. Um,
Yeah, me too, man. Me
yeah,
too.
definitely. I got a few questions I want to get to. But one thing I want to say, and then I want to, get your feel on it. We know as actors, we are kind of limited to what the script gives us, but sometimes the performance may then inspire the writing, I should say. So what I'm thinking is when the show first started, season 1, nobody knew what it may be, and your character, you started performing, and I think, man, your performance made Cooper Saxe, become who he is. They saying, okay, we do this and that, and they go hand in hand. And the longest running member from 1 to 2 and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that was great. I mean, what do you think on how it started and how it ended and how it all played out? What do you think on that?
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Listen. It's been an incredible run. I feel so blessed. I always say it, but it's never not going to be true. I'm so thankful to Courtney and 50 for dreaming this thing up and for taking the chance on me because you know they didn't know who the heck I was. And the thing I can say regarding what you said is I feel like from season 1 to now, it was just this pretty awesome. I mean, I got to give it up to the writers in the writing room because I feel like they do an awesome job of seeing what an actor's capable of and what an actor's skill set is, and going, what can we do to either fit into that box that they're in, or else challenge them. And I feel like for me, it went from, oh, this is in his wheelhouse. We'll write for him
Mm-hmm.
early on, to then, as the seasons progressed, seasons 3, 4, 5, they started really challenging me. I feel like they really started giving me things that were way more developed, way more than just 2-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was, I'm putting this on Do Not Disturb. There we go. That was so rewarding because like you said, I never in a million years thought that I would be the guy that has the most episodes of in the Power universe at this point. I mean, they're going to surpass me now that I'm gone, but the fact is that right this minute, I'm that guy, and that's amazing.
It is, man. It is, and it's not like it was a bit part. You really had some growth in that character from looking at Sax from the beginning to how he was kind of like the jerk in the office, kind of like the Angie, but she didn't like him, so he kind of jealous. Then you had so much growth to he even had relationships and even was ready to kill at one point,
Yeah.
substance abuse with the alcoholism. Then we never knew what he was looking at on that computer. What was that? So
Just having a good time, man. Just having a good time. And I also really like that they brought in. At first I was kind of skeptical about it because I was like, "Oh, where is this going?" But it was really smart to bring in the girl who played my niece,
yeah, yeah.
because it really sort of brought out this father figure sort of familial concern thing. And it's funny because so many people like that family scene I had in first episode of Ghost. I had that family dinner where all my brothers and sisters are making fun of me, and my parents are kind of, and it was literally 2 scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But to this day, people are still like, Uncle Nancy. People are still
Right.
remembering where I sort of fell on the totem pole in that family, and I feel like it kind of gave the audience a renewed sort of, not a renewed, but a new uh, look into why is Cooper Saxe the way he is.
Hmm.
I mean, it's interesting because one of the things we get with Michael Rainey Jr. with Tariq is that you see more than any other character in damn near more than any other character in television.
Yeah.
You see why he's the way he is.
Hmm.
You see all the influence from the time this kid was 11 and 12 years old.
Hmm.
You see all of his mentors with Tommy and Tasha and Sean and Kanan and James St. Patrick and then the things he was up against with his sister and Ray. I mean, you really see the making of someone.
Hmm.
I go like, I mean, obviously people should have. He's very privileged at the same time, so you go, he could have avoided all this mess,
Right.
but
We
he was.
watched him grow into who he is,
Yeah, pretty
step
cool.
by step. Speaking of Michael Rainey, I hate Tariq as a character, but Michael Rainey is wow. I will give him his credit. Have you ever seen that movie Love when he was a kid with Common? Act.
This the Italian thing he did?
I didn't see that one. I don't think.
Oh, okay, then no, I don't think I know.
Okay, yeah, he's only like 8 or 10 years old in the movie, and I mean he does a good job in that movie, and just knowing how it goes, you know what I mean. So just as a young, and now to see how he's grown, I give him a lot of credit as an actor and as his craft. And
Hey, me
you
too.
seeing
Me
him
too.
kind of grow up, what are your thoughts on like kind of watching him grow into who he is today? Because when you started season one, how old was he then? He was still young.
He was. I think he was cast when he was 11, and he
Wow.
started the show when he was 12. I mean, that's younger than my
Wow.
kid.
Wow.
Um,
Holding down this series. Well, he wasn't, but to grow and do what he's done. Wow, it's a lot.
yeah. Listen. He's a great kid, and he's not really a kid anymore. But he's a great guy, and it's been really cool. I'm really proud of him, man. I'm proud of him.
Yeah,
And the other thing is that it was a lot put on his shoulders. He
yeah,
went from being like, kind of a recurring character in the first few seasons where it wasn't really about the kids. They were just kind of there to show that aspect of
hmm
James St. Patrick's, like, family life and the two worlds. He was there to sort of represent the other world that he was fighting for, right?
right.
And then, as it got into Ray and his sister and all that, that's when it kind of transitioned into more of a like, oh, he's
Mhm.
going down this path too. But he went from that to now he's carrying this whole series.
Yeah, with stars, Mary J, Method Man, yourself, seasoned
Yeah,
actors as well. I mean, so yeah, you guys did
yeah.
a great
It's
job.
pretty awesome because I'll tell you, and I know that probably everybody felt this way. Even Michael Rainey himself felt this way because we've talked about it. When Courtney came to me and said, "Hey, we're doing some spinoffs, and we'd like you to be a part of one," I was thrilled because we were finishing up season 6, and I was like, oh, yeah, of course. And she said, so we want you to be a part of the Tariq spinoff. And I was like,
Mhm.
absolutely. She walked away, and I was like, who wants the Tariq spinoff?
Right, I felt that way too. Everybody hated him. He killed ghosts.
But then, it just shows the genius of writing because they basically spent season 6 kind of getting you to the point where you were upset that he did it, but you understood why he did it. And then when Ghost started, it was just the audience immediately, they just did a 180. They went from like, I hate this kid, to now he's the champion.
Yeah,
And it's been weird. I will say it's been weird for me being pretty much just, appreciated but hated for a decade. It's an interesting. It's been an interesting
yeah,
road. I
yeah.
really got to the point where I embraced that and enjoyed that. But it took me some time to kind of, to get to that point because
Mhm.
as you can imagine, I'm sitting there, being on one end of it where everybody just hates me and just wants me to eat a bullet and all that. But I'm just really, all I am is I'm not part of an ensemble cast.
Yes, it was a
You
great
know,
ensemble
as an
cast.
actor, I'm part of an ensemble cast.
Right.
It's me, the audience obviously going to feel how they feel about Cooper Saxe, and I get it. But next to me, my buddies are like heroes.
Right. Right.
They're heroes, and I'm like a piece of shit.
But actually, they kind of elevated and flipped it with the Jenny aspect. To me, it kind of created sympathy because you see, okay, this guy is putting all this on the line, his life, a job. He was almost unemployable. Now he's got a really good job, and he's going to betray this guy for a woman that he thought that he could possibly have more than,
Yeah.
with, and she treated him like a disposable asset. It made me feel bad for Saxe a little bit. DBS, I call him Dirty Ball Saxe. I'm like, oh no, she did him dirty now.
So much, like,
Yeah.
I it's funny because I didn't realize, and I don't even know that Courtney realized it either when she started it. She probably did, but that eventually this character Jenny would kind of be the downfall of Saxe. Like I would have never. I just thought like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna get to explore yet another color, yet another level of this character, where now he's got feelings. He's kind of a little bit of a chump, he's kind of pussy whipped, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it was fun to kind of lean into that and see where that was going. But then it got to where it started, my life was on the line. And then it was, obviously a whole different situation. But I'm thankful for that. She's great. Peyton is great. And we had a great time bringing that relationship to life. And I'm so thankful to this. I'm so thankful to this audience, man. Our fans are wild. They're wild. They're wild.
Yeah.
I know that. Listen, I know that a lot of shows are like, oh, we have the best fans. Like every show says that, and I understand that because that's my aperture. What I'm seeing is our fan base, but man, they're pretty ride or die, and it's one of the things that's really fascinating and funny to me is they also will turn from episode to episode.
Yeah, definitely.
They'll go from being like, we hate you, you need to die, be 6 feet under, to like, oh my God, yeah, you came through for us,
Right.
You son of a bitch. It's just like back and forth.
Right.
And,
that is true.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot like how they were with, whenever they thought Braden was going to betray Tariq.
Yeah, everybody hated him.
It was like a cliffhanger where they weren't sure where it was, and everybody just went after him. Same with Effie. Same with Lauren. It's just it's interesting how powerful. I would think that the theme I feel the most from our audience, which is just interesting culturally, like where we're at as a culture. It seems like almost the most important thing to our audience is loyalty.
Yeah. They definitely hate somebody that's a backstabber or a traitor or a snitch. All of that. You do that, you're in trouble. That's what really made Saxe hateable. But all the two-faced backstabbing moves and things,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
It's wild. People go hard on the loyalty thing. You betray somebody, it's just it's over. It's over. And I like it. I like it because it just shows that there's in the audience there's a sense of justice.
Right.
There's the way things should be, and they take it very personally, and I love it.
Definitely. Now, when you first auditioned for the role, we know, well, maybe everyone don't know, but some may know that Saxe wasn't your original part. You could explain a little bit more about what part you originally went for, and how do you think things may have turned out differently had you have gotten a different part other than Saxe?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, when I first auditioned, I auditioned for Tommy, and I think actually a lot of people did, and I don't know if it was just kind of like that was their filter for like, hey, let's see what's out there. And so they had like Andy Bean, who played Greg Knox, he was up for Tommy as well.
Okay.
I I was up for Tommy.
Okay.
I don't know who else, but obviously there were a bunch of other people too. Um, but I did well enough with that audition that's when they brought me to go meet everybody. That's when I met Courtney and the other producers and stuff. And 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 then I didn't hear anything for like 3 weeks.
And that's the hard part about the act. Hurry up and wait in the acting.
Yeah, well, honestly, I just assumed it was you just at that point after like a week, you're kind of like I would have heard, you know. And and then after about 3 weeks, I got a call saying, "Hey, they want you to come read for Greg Knox." So then I read for Greg Knox, who people that don't remember, he was
And
Angela's
these,
boyfriend, and he was the
right.
one that was like, you know, kind of doing the detective stuff against Ghost, and he learned too much, and he ended up dying too early, you know.
The way power goes, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's
and
been
so
too
that
many old age deaths in power.
yeah, so then I auditioned like maybe another week or two later. So this is like maybe 5 or 6 weeks
Okay.
total. Uh,
Wow.
then I auditioned for Saxe, and I mean, and if I'm being honest, you know, it's funny. The casting is something that um, you can't do much about. You can do something about. Like, listen, if you're a huge star,
Right, right.
you can kind of take liberties. People will go, "Hey, Shane wants to play this quirky serial killer with whatever." People go,
Right.
"Oh, okay, yeah, it's Shane, so let's let him try and do it." Or
Tom
you know,
Cruise type thing.
yeah, yeah, like that
Right.
in that Matt Damon,
Like
Tom
he
Cruise.
held back the movie for 2 years, not Mission, Top Gun Maverick, you know.
Yeah, like and so those sorts of those that level of celebrity can kind of
Right, right.
go outside of their typical wheelhouse of casting. But where I'm at, or where I was specifically at the time, you know, when I read the breakdown for Cooper Saxe, and it was like he's this arrogant, white privilege, overly educated, prick, and I
Right.
was like, well, that's my casting.
But for people that don't, that's not, is that your background or it's not though? I mean,
No, I mean that's not me at all.
right,
But
right.
that's like
You know
I
how to play it.
said it before. I mean I grew up in a trailer park, and I was not, I'm the first person in my family to go to like a 4 year college, and
Wow.
and so it was more like it's more like it doesn't matter. All that matters at the end of the day is what somebody sees when you walk in the room,
Yep. Yep. That's
and
true.
how you sound, how you come across,
Mm-hmm.
and
Because they
obviously,
got it in their head what they're looking for. So you just create your impression
yeah,
as the actor, all you can do. But you did good enough impression they called you back again and again.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the thing that I have that I'm very thankful for is that I think the thing that I bring to a lot of what I do that is humor, like, but humor not in like we're doing a comedy way,
Right.
but
Subtle.
humor that sits into drama comfortably, where you believe that like that's just that sort of person,
Right.
and I feel like that's one of the reasons too that I feel like I was kept around as long as I was, because I I not only do I bring that um, to the character, I bring it to the set as well, and so I feel like I kind of infuse scenes with that, and I infuse other some of the other actors sometimes with like a sense of play and a sense of freedom and a sense of fun that in a show like this, um, I feel like it's always needed to have a little bit of something to take to just vent. That's why you know
Yeah.
there. And I'm not saying it by the way that I'm the only person that did
Right.
that.
Right.
Tommy, Joe Sikora has a lot of that kind of humor too. Braden brings a lot of humor like that. But and 50, I thought brought a lot of that kind of humor as well. but the main, it's so funny because the main people, and this happens a lot in these kinds of shows, the
Mm-hmm.
main hub of the wheel, James St. Patrick, there's like almost no humor.
Hmm. Right.
Just dead serious, dead
Yeah.
serious. And
I don't
and
think I
also
ever saw him laugh on the show.
that's yeah, and
Oh,
same with
wow.
Tariq. Tariq doesn't have really a lot of humor. I'm not saying he doesn't like he won't laugh at Braden or he won't smile at somebody. Like he'll get somebody else's levity, but he
Mm-hmm.
won't necessarily be the person dishing it out. And a
Right.
lot of shows, I think it really works. It really functions well with like the hero's journey narratives where you have the hub of the wheel being pretty stoic and all the insanity, the chaos kind of happens all around them. And so just I don't know. I just feel like that's how it functions a lot. And I feel like I found my note in the
Mm-hmm.
symphony of the show. I found my note, and even though I did I did 10 years on the show, I still feel like it was too soon. You know, I still
Yeah.
feel like I
I'm,
had more in me. I'm thankful to be on the other side of it now, honestly, because listen, I started the show when I was 36, 37, just turned 37, and I'm 47 now. So
okay.
it's like a whole
I'm
section of
45.
yeah, so a whole
Yeah.
section of my life and career, happened, and now it's
Yeah.
like it's time to for the next chapter. It's time for me
Right.
to see what's next, and I have big plans. I never really thought that this would go this long, and I'm so
Yeah.
thankful it did. I'm so thankful it did. I mean, I thought maybe I had a season or two.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. The way things are, you never know. Like from people that don't know the way the acting world goes, you can have one project and you think, oh man, this is it. And it doesn't do what you think. And it could be something you don't think it's going to be. And you there for 10 years, looking
yeah,
back at it now, what do you think about how I'm sure you had those moments of thinking you made it and it didn't do it. And then you think, I'm gonna try this out, and then boom, 10 years, and as an actor, steady job, steady pay, all of that is great, and then you elevate. I mean, that's a beautiful ride, something all of us would love to have, us, grunts and things. So, definitely give you your props
and it's
and credit for
huge.
that.
Thank you. It's a huge. I mean, like you said, there's a certain amount of I don't really like to call it luck because I think it's a matter of being prepared and finding yourself in the right situation. And I feel like when the time is right, we attract the opportunities that can be life changing to us. Not that I'm saying that there's somebody out there that hasn't hit that thing yet, that they're going like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm always like ready. I'm ready. But I have to tell you, I had some big things going for me when I was young, and in my career, and I sort of and at that point, I thought everything that I did was going to be the thing, because I didn't know any better. Like I did a movie. Like my first movie was Saving Private Ryan, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm working with Spielberg. Like here I go. Um,
Dream, right,
right, and then I moved to LA, and it's like, yeah, nobody cares about that. You're starting at zero, and
right.
it probably helped me get an agent because they were like, oh, well, Spielberg hired him. So, he's, well, but it's not like I had a huge part in that movie either.
Right.
I had a few lines. So it was, but it was enough to give me, I got some
Foot in the
agent.
door.
It was new. Yeah. I got my foot in the door with like a low key agent. And I,
Hmm.
and I had to convince him. I was like, dude, just put my head. This is back when you actually mailed the headshots in a big yellow
Right,
envelope.
right.
So they would just use to remember you used to have all the headshots and you
Oh
stapled
yeah. Oh
and you
man.
and the agent would be like, "We need more headshots." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I just gave you 200 headshots
And it was
stapled and ready to
expensive.
go, and they're expensive, and I haven't even had any auditions. Like, where are all these
Right.
headshots going?"
Right, right.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, every time I get a movie or I get some great guest spot, I was like, "This is going to be the game changer. This is going to be the game changer." I mean, I thought that for the first 15 years of my career, every year there was something that I was like, oh, this is the thing. This is the thing. And it was never the thing. And then this show, to be honest, I don't think I was like, oh, this is going to be the thing,
Right.
but it was the thing.
Turned out to be the
So
biggest thing on the network at that.
yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
it's certainly the biggest thing for me in my
Yeah.
career, thus far.
Huge, huge.
So it's, the thing that's interesting now as an actor is to not let the is to really get into that next gear. A lot of actors get on a show like this for a long time, and then the show goes away for them, or the show just goes away, and then you don't hear from them,
That's
for a
true.
while. And you're like, hey, whatever happened to, or and then sometimes you'll find out that they're on some other show on some other network that they've been on for 10 years, and you're like, oh, that's where they are. They've
Yeah.
been working.
Yep.
But
I actually just found that exact scenario on somebody I was wondering about, and I saw a movie with them, and then I was wondering that, and I looked them up on IMDb, and they've been on the show for about 10 years, just like you said.
I mean, and that's
Exact
great.
scenario. Yep.
Yeah, you just got to be, thankful to. I feel like in this industry, if there are actors out there, artists out there, I feel like in this industry, if you're talented and if you work on honing your craft and you're passionate and you persist, if you persist, you will succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of somebody that's like, yeah, man, I went for it, and I was grinding and grinding for 20 years, and I just put myself out there with everything, and I put my passion and my heart into it every day for 20 years, and nothing happened. It
That's
just
true.
it just doesn't work like that. I mean, the problem is there's a ton of turnover, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
every year 100,000 actors are born, and they're like, I'm going to go be a star, and they come to LA, but they're not really artists.
Right.
Most of them are like, I want to be famous, I want to make money, I want to be on TV or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not mocking that. That's cool. That's a thing.
But they're not putting the skill first.
Yeah,
Fit
and they're
with
not
that.
about
Right.
the life.
Mm-hmm.
And the life is, you come to LA, you get a or New York or Chicago or
Mm-hmm.
one of these other cities now. It used to be when we started, it was like there were like maybe 3 cities.
Right. New York, LA, Chicago.
Yeah, and now it's kind of expanding.
Yeah, Atlanta's starting to be pretty big now too. Yeah, big time.
A lot of stuff in Toronto as well. There's
Yeah.
but back then you moved to that city and you got a job.
It was a grind.
To support you got a job to support your passion.
Yeah,
you were waiting tables, swinging a hammer,
yeah,
being a delivery boy, whatever it was, and you kept your bills and you kept your life pretty small because you were just trying to get the thing going.
Yeah,
And that separates I think that separates the real people that need it from the people that were hoping it would just work out.
Yeah, because that'll definitely weed out the people that's really not ready for it. Definitely.
Yeah, right away. Like within a few years, if 100,000 actors are trying every year, new actors, 100,000 actors, I think after 2 years, that 100,000 is down to like 5,000.
I could see that easy.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a real stat, but it's probably not far from being accurate. And then you jump forward another 10 years, and that 100,000 is probably down to about 500.
Yeah, definitely. I can believe that. Yeah, because it's a grind, and it's not. People see the end result, and they don't understand this is a job and a skill as well. Long days, you have to learn your line, do all of this stuff. And then it's a lot of rejection, let down, patience. One thing I want to ask you about, like we were talking about earlier, projects. You were on a legendary project once before, Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was my Taft-Hartley job, which is the job that Taft-Hartley means that you can join the union, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my first union gig in LA that I booked, and I didn't have much to do. I think I was which was really good for my ego, but not that necessarily that accurate. I think I was like good looking guy or something like that.
I think so. That's what it's credited
Something
as.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I fought hard to have IMDb write that in there. They wanted to
Oh
write something.
yeah.
No, it's good looking guy. So,
That's
but,
funny.
but you know what? You know what's funny though is at the time, we didn't. Nobody really. Freaks and Geeks wasn't a phenomenon yet.
No, it was like afterwards when it was
It was
over,
like,
kind of.
yeah, it was totally. It was after it was over, and then looking back on it, it was almost like it could have caught fire, like the way that Family Guy did. Remember Family Guy was,
Yeah, and they cut it off and then brought it back.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
it could have.
I feel like Freaks and Geeks could have had that. The problem with live action is that a lot of times you lose those people because they go off
Right.
and do things. But with Family Guy, it's voice works. You can do it from anywhere, so they didn't really. You almost can't lose people.
Right. Right. That's
So
true.
that's a different beast. But I feel like Freaks and Geeks was one of those shows that maybe did like 2 seasons or something.
Yeah, and little history on this. Here you go, good looking guy right here. Little history on this show. It was like a high school type drama show, 80s, but they played it like late at night on the weekend. They didn't play it at the right time, so most people never got to see it. But looking back at this, I mean, it was that Seth Rogen, it was that
Jason Segel,
Jason Segal,
James Franco.
Franco, and you got what's
Oh,
Linda Cardinelli.
too, who's fantastic on Dead to Me on
Yeah.
Netflix. Dude, she's fan. But you know who's actually really blown my mind. And go back to that for a second.
All right, pull it back up.
Um, I'm trying to think of his name. The
It's got
this
John
guy
Francis
the guy
Daly.
with the striped shirt. What's his? Let me see.
John Francis Daly.
Yeah. Click
Yeah.
on him. Click on John Francis Daly.
All right.
That little dude with the striped shirt. Let's go look at his credits. So
He
acting.
was
Forget.
just in Dungeons and Dragons as a voice. I didn't know that.
Click on writer
All right.
up above there where it says writer.
16 is right.
Look at what this guy's written.
Where'd it go?
He wrote.
All right. I just clicked on it. Actor. This is taking them down. Hold on.
No, I think you had it. Just click on writer.
Oh, okay. Here we go. There we go. This isn't all right. Updating infamous.
No. We don't want to update it. Go back. What
Oh
are you doing, man? Stop trying to change this guy's.
man, I don't know why is it. I
Just
think
scroll
this is
down.
because of my pro right here is doing that on here. Let me scroll down. Yeah, here
There
we
it is,
go.
writer.
Much
So
better.
under writer,
All right. There
this
we go.
guy. That's upcoming. Okay, that's just upcoming.
Let's see. Previous. Here we go. Did he write? Yeah, he wrote screenplay Dungeons and Dragons, Vacation Friends, Spider-Man Homecoming, Horrible Bosses 2, Incredible Burt Wonderstone, Cloudy with Meatball, Horrible Bosses, Bones.
I mean, come on, man. This guy wrote Horrible Bosses,
I
and he
know.
wrote Spider-Man Homecoming
I know.
from Freaks and Geeks. Isn't that crazy?
And Burt Wonderstone is actually pretty funny. I like it. It's weird, but it's funny. I like it.
You just never know, man. You just
Yeah.
gotta
You never
and
know. You're
you
right.
never know, man. It's pretty awesome.
That
Pretty awesome.
that cast is legendary. And then it was all produced by Apatow. Well, most of it was. So
Yeah.
Judd Apatow. So that was legendary. And that's another example of how people think it'll go and it doesn't. That show had everything.
Everything. Look, every one of those people, every one of them in that poster
Yeah.
is a star.
Yes.
Pretty much. Like
Yeah.
and doing really well. And so it's that was fun. That was a fun thing to start with. But to be honest, like I had such a small part in that too. That's kind of the way those things are. You get a few lines in the beginning, and people don't necessarily trust you with the whole thing yet because they haven't seen you. You haven't proven yourself, and
Right.
so it was a few years before things. I got out into LA in '98, and it was a few years before things started really kicking.
Okay. I got a question about Now I'm gonna pull this IMDb back up. Um, Up next, I see you got a zombie thing coming with your wife as well. Who I do love your wife. She was in Pain and Gain. That
Yeah,
was a hell of a part.
yeah, man.
Too bad
Yeah,
she didn't make it out of there right. And then for it to be a true story, tell me a little bit about that, and then with your wife and all of that upcoming as well.
yeah, that was awesome. So she's Keely Lefkowitz is my wife, and she was a part of Pain and Gain. She plays a real character. She was strangely the first. She was, spoiler alert, but she was murdered horrifically and cut up with a chainsaw in the movie, and then dumped in some like alligator pond. Now, here's the thing: all of that's true. That all happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then she was the first person, I guess, in history that was ever identified by her breast implants
Right,
because
right.
they beheaded her, but they had serial numbers on the silicone breast implants, and that's how they identified her body. It was
Mm-hmm.
she had so much fun. They shot that in Miami. It was Mark Wahlberg, Dwayne Johnson, Mackie, Michael Bay movie. It was great.
Excellent movie. I love that movie. And I love at the end how they kind of put the real footage and pictures of the people and things as well in there.
Tony Shalhoub murdered that movie too. He was like,
Oh, he did. Yes, he did.
he was great. He was great.
Yeah, he did. So definitely. Here's a picture of your lovely wife. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this zombie thing going on. I read a little bit about it, and it's a little different than most zombie things that I've seen. What could you tell me about that zombie project coming up?
Yeah, so these guys this is kind of a sequel to a movie that these guys produced, like, which by the way is something that we were talking about earlier, where you just go and make stuff happen, get passionate. These guys busted out their credit cards and made a low budget movie and went and I think sold it to Netflix for, millions of dollars. And so
Wow.
then they're like, okay, let's do it again, but this time, this is 10 years later now. They're like, let's do it right. Let's get a real budget. Let's get a real cast. And so it's called Dead Season. We
Mhm.
filmed it in Hawaii, which was awesome because
Wow.
my wife and I are both in it, and we got to go and shoot in Hawaii. Like we shot on the old like Jurassic Park sets, which like the actual Jurassic Park sets that you can't tell that they're Jurassic Park sets, but they are.
That's pretty cool. It's still there
So
though.
it was so cool, and it's so beautiful there. And
Definitely. Free vacation, paid vacation, huh?
yeah, and then we brought the kids out. We turned it into a vacation. It was great, and it was so much fun. These guys, I really, the movie should be coming out. I think they're taking it to market in the next few months, and I'm really really hopeful because it's a great cast, great concept, and so much fun to shoot. And I'm basically like, the bad guy again. Sort of.
Now, do you think you may be like seen as the bad guy from now on, or do you think would you be in some action? Could you be the bad ass? I did see James St. Patrick in the new zombie movie on Netflix. What was it? Not Dawn of the Dead. What was it?
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. I actually liked that movie.
Me too.
The end, I liked how it ended for him too, but then it kind of didn't. But anyway, could you see yourself maybe with machine guns or doing karate or something in the film
Man,
one day?
I gotta tell you, that's the dream, right? That's the
It
dream.
is, right?
That's the dream. I mean, getting to do some of the stuff that like Stallone's doing, or like Liam Neeson's been doing for the last 20 years.
Man,
Just, I mean, I think that's every guy's dream. Maybe it's every girl's dream too, but every guy's dream is to just, uh, kick ass and save the world,
right.
or at least save a person, or a dog. If you're like John Wick, I mean, the John Wick stuff is. I
That
mean,
dog.
I know it's candy. I know it's popcorn and candy, but I'll tell you
I
that
love it.
John Wick stuff just gets my blood.
Woo!
It gets my blood going.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, John
Yeah,
Wick put action movies on a whole nother level. with the intense, the realness, and the way that it's filmed, you know,
Oh
is so different. You know, it just wow, it looks so real. And us
yeah,
being in it and seeing it, I'm just like, wow. But you know, Keanu puts so much work.
yeah, and he has since the Matrix. I mean, you got to really
Yeah.
give it up to him. He's really iconic in that he's been a part of these two of my favorite franchises, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really respect him, man. I mean, anybody that knows much about Keanu, they're just like he's a special dude, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. From what I heard, down to earth.
Yeah,
Amazing.
not about the life, you know. He's not about the. He's more of a give it away. Lives. This is how it seems. He's also had a ton of tragedy in his life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so he's. I think he's humble, you know.
Yeah.
And humility to me, man. I know that some people are, like arrogance is like where it's about what it's about. Humility to me is like the most attractive quality in a friend, in a partner, in a celebrity. When
Mm-hmm.
somebody you can tell somebody's like as an example, this is a sports thing, but like Joe Burrow, you know, against Mahomes, right?
Right.
So Joe Burrow's coming in and he's like all flashy with his sunglasses, and like he's a rock star, and he's talking shit about saying that Arrowhead's going to be named Burrowhead and
Right. Right.
all this sort of stuff. Whereas Mahomes is just playing the game, and at the end when Mahomes wins, instead of rubbing it in his face and going, "Yeah, I kicked your ass. I'm the rock star. I'm all this stuff," he lets other people say that.
Uh-huh.
He's just like, hey, it's all about the team. It's about the fans. I'm grateful to be here. I give it up, and
Yeah.
it's just it's so attractive. You know, you root. It's hard not to root for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, and
That's
so I don't know why we're talking about this, right? I don't know what I said that made me go down this path, but, it, but it's one of those things that I feel like will take people far in life. It's just finding, and I think part of humility is a concept for me of never thinking that I'm better than anybody else.
right. Right. Right.
And
Definitely.
never thinking that I deserve it more than somebody else, or that I'm more than
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
value wise. That doesn't mean I might be more talented than somebody else, or I might be I might be a better person in some respects, or a shittier person in some respects. Who knows? But at the end of the day, we all have the same value on this earth, and I like to think, I don't like to think of people as up here and down here.
Man, I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, you know, my situation, and not to say I was on a high horse of things at one point in my life, but I was okay. And I can see how life was. I was 33 when I was injured. So it's a nice amount of time. And then after that, people looked down on me all of a sudden, or started to talk, you know, as if now I can't comprehend things. So I really got, you know, the crash course and how you can be really treated differently all of
Yeah,
a sudden and things. And then, you know, people started to write me off, think this and that or whatever. And then as I start to bring myself back together and do things. Oh, hey, da, 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 and you start to say, okay, I see, you know.
yeah,
So, you know, I stay humble, and I never was try to get too high or too low. But you can see people, you know, when you're that type of person and you're humble, and then you attract and want to be around other humble people, it's easier to see the people that's, you know, not really out there the right way for you. So,
yeah. It's just kind of like the saying that never believe the press. You know,
right, right. Because you can
and
be here and then there tomorrow. So, and vice versa. You can be here and there tomorrow. So,
yeah, yeah, and you'll get. And it's funny too. We are also. It's very. I think it's human nature to. And I've experienced this in my mentor Richard Lawson. He's like, dude, you can't read because you can't believe critics. And I don't care if they come out and they say, Jay, you're the shit. You're the man, the best, most talented thing I've ever seen. Because if you believe that, you take that to heart, and then the next guy says, I don't get it. I don't think he's talented at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then you kind of have to believe that too.
Right.
And a human nature aspect of it is that you can get 100 reviews of people just like telling you how fantastic you are and how much they think that you are the next thing. They love you. They're one person comes through and just shits on you. That's the thing that you remember.
That's true. It's funny how that works, huh? The mind remembers that and will torture yourself with it more so than all of that.
Because we want to be liked. It's funny. We want to be liked. You go through life and everybody's, if people are glad handing you and clapping you on the back and like everybody seems to like you, that's cool. You just keep it moving. If one person all of a sudden is in your face and they don't like you and they don't want to touch you and they're like, get away from me. It's like, that's the thing that you're going to stay up at night in your bed thinking like, what did I do to that son of a, what did I do?
You're right. That's a good point. Because I definitely have been there and thinking like that.
Yeah. And so the fix for that is to keep humble and keep it about you and your family and nobody else. I mean, if you got your close circle of friends that you can trust, but a lot of times friends don't want us to win either, so that's, you got to be careful. But
sometimes they feel like if you winning, then they must be doing something wrong or
right. Yeah.
Self-consciously, subconsciously a lot of times.
Yeah. And I don't think that it's vicious. I just think that you can smell it.
Yeah.
You come out and you go, oh, hey, I just sold my company for $4 million, and you think your buddy's going to come along and go like, dude, that's amazing, or is he going to be like, what?
Right. Yep. True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because then they think part of them sees you in the dust too. They think, oh, he's taking off without me, and where's mine? Why don't I? When's my thing going to come through? And anyway, it was just human nature is crazy, and in this business we see it. It's so much more raw. If you're in a cubicle, if you're in a different kind of job, it's maybe not as much a part of your life. But for us, it's we're the product.
Right. That's true.
We're not a used car salesman. We're selling ourselves.
Right. That's true. That is true. Before we get up out of here, I don't want to keep you too long. I had another thing I wanted to ask you. Where is it at? So I did the video. I was trying to get the little video about Saxe earlier, but wasn't able to get that. But as far as
which one? I probably have.
All right. The video where it seemed that Saxe was dead, but part of him still wanted to be alive in the world. And I was trying to see, how were you able to act and can pull this off? I mean, that was great skill on how you had that control.
You like the control?
I love it, man. I love it.
Hold on, let me see.
Conspiracy theories I'm hearing about Cooper Saxe actually being alive. I really want to know what you guys think. I thought it was bullshit, but then people started sending me clips saying, oh, look, I can see him breathing, he's moving there, whatever. It would be interesting if Cooper Saxe was playing the long game, going into hiding, doing something, but tell me what you guys think.
Here we go. Look at this control. This is a great actor right here.
So that's so dumb, man.
Yeah,
I was like, I gotta have fun with this with the audience. I mean, people immediately go into conspiracies as soon as somebody dies, because people, as much as they wanted me dead, but then once I'm dead, they're kind of like, well, wait, because now you have all this hate and all this animosity and all these narratives and storylines that you have wrapped up in this character, and all those in one moment, they're all cut off. And so you have a sense of, even if you hate the guy, there's also a sense of like loss.
Right.
And so people immediately go to, maybe he's not dead. I wanted him dead, but now that he's dead, I kind of don't want him dead.
Right. It's the friend you love to hate. You don't want him to leave. That's how I feel about Tariq. I mean, I love to see him get beat up and robbed and got his car took, but don't kill him. Just beat him up and make him leave town. You know,
It's
beat
been
him up.
so long to me.
Yeah, beat him up. You know, he hit him with the computer monitor cane and all of that. That's fine, but don't kill him. He needs some more torture. Before you go, last thing, you had mentioned like mentorship for people out there watching. I mean, you know, I had a mentor at one time. I definitely would looking for some more type of things, but just explain to those out there a little bit about how, you know, mentorship can help people and things. Cause, you know, some people may need help out there or may be trying to get into something and they may not realize how important it is to get, you know, some type of mentorship from somebody. So,
Yeah, I think that probably the most underrated. Now that you're asking me, it's probably the most underrated, most not talked about thing in most industries
right.
is mentorship, because the reality is, if you don't have mentorship, if you don't have that kind of training and that kind of like guide for what you're trying to do, you're just figuring it all out on your own. And some people are like, oh, some people are those kind of people like, oh, I want to do it on my own. Well, go for it. But usually those people end up taking 10 times longer than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to have somebody say, hey, this is how it goes. This is what you should expect. This is the kind of stuff you should focus on. And then also can help you with the acting or writing or whatever it is you're doing. And yet the kind of because they've already done the road, they've already walked the path. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go through. You don't have to do all the trials and tribulations. You're kind of building on the shoulders of the warriors that went before you, rather than starting from scratch. And if you have a great mentor, you're not only learning from your mentor, you're probably learning from their mentor and that mentor's mentor. And it's all this information and legendary shit being passed down.
Priceless.
Yeah, it's priceless, because otherwise, I can't tell you how many people I have reach out to me.
And what I come across lately is either people don't want to listen if they ask me something, not that I'm a mentor, but or you know, people want a lot of your time for nothing a lot of times and things. So and then don't implement
I think that's an interesting thing that's cropped up with social media, because when we were coming up, we didn't have access to anybody. You watched, you were a fan of a show. Once the show was over, it was over. You weren't going like, I'm going to go and tell Mr. T that I think that he sucked this episode.
Right.
You didn't. There was nowhere to do that, and you weren't going to like write a letter to the network that But now, little kids can get on there and go, I hate you, or I love you, or or hey, I want to do what you're doing. Help. What do I do? And I try to respond to people. I respond to a lot of people that ask me for help, but there is a limit, because like you said, I will say, hey, if you're serious about it, here's the first 3 steps. Here's the first 3 things you should do. And I lay it out for them. And then if they reach back out to me, usually it's because they don't want to do the work, or they want me to somehow do it for them. Like I have so many people going, hey, can you get me on Power? All the time, man, all the time. Can you get me on Power? Can you get me?
So you're a casting agent, and
and I get it, because they just don't
understand the process.
Yeah, that tells me that they don't know anything about the industry, because if they knew the industry, they would know that the person that casts me is not even casting the show anymore. I have a relationship with the casting director, but it's just casually she show up and be like, how's it going? But could I push people on her or them? Yeah, probably. But the reality is I would be vouching for somebody.
Exactly, and that's what people don't understand. And that's, you would put your name and reputation on the line for somebody you don't know. Not
somebody I don't know
the wrong thing, but you don't know what may happen.
Yeah, it's just, so that to me is like, and the alternative would be is like, well, let me send you my reel. Look at my reel. I'm like, listen, now I'm your agent.
Right. Right.
And so the thing is like, if wherever you're at, make the most out of where you're at. If you're in a city, every major city in the country has facilities, has
Mm-hmm.
mentors, they have acting classes, they've got people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, and a lot of
And
people don't know that these productions hire local actors when they go places. They don't take everybody; they'll take the main people. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you're right. Like if they're like I'm up for something right now that's shooting in like I think South Carolina, and that that one of the things they say on there is like, please put in there if you can be a local hire.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And what they want is they'll probably hire a handful of actors from out of state
Yep,
that are like the big guns.
right.
But then a way to really get yourself out there is to be one of the people that's fulfilling the scene.
Yep,
And there will be scenes, there will be dialogue, there will be opportunities to kind of get some real, to get some and just to get some experience, just to
right.
actually be on a set and see how it goes.
Yep.
It's not what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks
Mhm.
it's just glamour and it's just like cool clothes and
Yeah,
money
it's a
and
job.
and like free food and stuff like. And that's really it's a job. And listen, it's amazing. It's an
Right,
amazing,
right.
but
It's a job,
sometimes
though.
it's saying the same speech 50 times.
Yeah, yeah.
50 times.
Or doing
And
these takes, you thought all of them were fine, and they want to do it like you say 50 times, and it's like,
yeah, from all these different angles, and especially if it's something that's emotional, you're going, I got to do this again. I mean, if you're just saying, hey, you went that way, that's fine. But if you're trying to like be emotional, trying to be present, trying to be available, and you got to do that for 6 hours
woo,
straight, and somehow still connect to that, it gets, in the beginning, you're like raring to go and you're all fueled up. 3-4 hours in, you're going, I'm losing it. How
right,
do I? And you got to like, it's definitely a skill, and and just, I mean, listen, it's funny. I feel like getting the job is completely different than doing the job.
mm-hmm,
You know, I feel
mm,
like we have an interesting industry because auditioning is its own skill set.
yeah,
It's not the same as getting the job. It's not the same as doing the job.
mm-hmm,
Especially now, we're just at home with our ring lights, putting ourselves on tape.
mm-hmm.
If you get the job, then you got to show up and actually see people.
Right, right. Yeah, we
You know?
audition is easy compared to when you actually there. Easier, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
and you're controlling all the factors. You're controlling like, I didn't like that take. I didn't like that. This
right.
sounded. You can do all this stuff. You can manage so much.
That's a good point.
And on set, it's completely out of your control. They're like, go here, go here. You stand there. You do this. You say that. You hand it. Everything's controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to still find that same thing that you brought in the audition and try to infuse it into their vision.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And then you spend time remembering your lines, memorizing lines, and then you do a take and they say, all right, change it and say it this way or that way. It's not that easy when you memorize it a certain way sometimes, and then you gotta change a couple words here and there. You gotta remember that and this and it's just,
Yeah, especially when it's like in the middle of something. Like
oh man.
if you have like a kind of a few paragraphs or something, and they say, hey,
Mhm.
so in that third sentence, when you get to this, can you say it like this and change this word to that word? And you're going, and then they go, okay, end action. And so now you're trying to act the first stuff, but remember that thing that's coming up. Yeah, it can get a little scary.
Right. And you gotta make it look like you're not doing none of it. Because that's
Yeah.
the
And
acting part.
the thing that's interesting too is some actors they won't allow that.
I've heard some big guns pull
They just
stuff
be like,
like
nah.
that.
They're like, nah, my process, I have a process. You can't come up and throw something at me on the fly and expect me to be able to deliver it. Like I take this too seriously. I care too much about the product to just like say something that you tell me to say
Mhm.
2 seconds later.
Mhm.
I've got a thing that I have to do. And I respect that. I totally respect that
Mhm.
because,
Yeah.
I like to really dissect my material and go, what am I saying? Why am I saying this? What's this about? And find levels to it. And if somebody just comes up and says, hey, can you say this? You're not really able to do that work.
Right. And they, whatever part they may be, whether it's director, producer, whatever, they don't see or how it is for our process on that side. You know, they got an understanding, but they're thinking of their process, so they thinking of, well, it'll look better this way.
Yeah,
Just do this, not realizing it ain't that easy, you know. But
yeah,
you know, hey, that's what you know, the that's what we get the big bucks hopefully for. Well,
yeah.
look,
That's part of it, man. That's part of it. It's
yeah,
a
man.
certainly a blessing. It's an awesome business, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
No, definitely, definitely. And let me ask you, this is the final one. Before you get out of here, you did a great job. You, we the same generation. I know it had to be surreal being with Method Man, Mary J, working with them, considering Wu Tang and All That I Need. That was together on the song, legendary. Something. Now they've had great acting careers, both respectively, and just to come full circle from,
It's crazy, man.
I
It's
just,
crazy.
wow, what's that?
Yeah, and to go back, actually went back and I watched that video of them when they
All That
first
I
did that
Need.
song. Yeah, and they're kids.
Yes, they
They're
are.
kids. But I think Method was 22.
I think he
He's
say
like,
that in the song or something like that or something. Yeah,
yeah, I
21.
think he was 22. He's 50, 51 now.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like 30 years ago.
I
And
know.
it's
Wow.
so great. And honestly, they're both just like great people. I mean, the affinity that I have for Method Man is like, I mean, I love working with him. He's everything that you would want him to be,
Yeah.
honestly. You know, like if you were like, hey, I would want him to be, I would think he's kind of like this. That's who he is.
He's always seemed, out of the rapper type scenario scene, like one of the most down to earth type.
He is, and and honestly, man, he's a good friend of mine, which is crazy. But
Man.
man, I mean, he uh, he deserves everything he's gotten, and he works hard. He really cares about his product, and that's one of the things I really respect about him too. You know, some people can come through and just kind of like, I don't want to say they phone it in, but they don't necessarily do work. They just kind
Hmm.
of like, oh, I got this, I got this.
Hmm.
Method's doing work. You know,
Yes. Yes,
he's
he
doing
is.
work,
Yeah.
and I appreciate, and Lorenz, man, I love working with Lorenz Tate, man. He's another icon.
Amazing. Amazing. Yes.
And we have a
You
lot
all
of
didn't
fun.
have too many scenes though, did you? I don't think Sax
We
talked
did.
with Tate too much.
We have maybe 4 or 5 scenes together throughout the years,
He's
and
from
it was
Chicago
always,
too, my home city. So
yeah. He
yeah.
was always fun to work with because I feel like we have a similar approach to material where he finds things, you know, he
Hmm.
finds things,
Hmm.
and he makes everything kind of his own, and he really paints a picture with what he's saying, and I really appreciate that. And,
Hmm. He
and he's
may
a
be
good,
having that spinoff come back. Who knows? Because
who knows, man,
you
you know.
never know. Oh,
And 50's, I mean, obviously 50's the beginning of all this too. He's the shit, man.
he is
I mean, listen, being able to be
legendary.
the same realm with these guys has
Yeah,
been so fun.
I'm sure. Definitely. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming again for a second time. Very humble, very down to earth. I appreciate you taking the time to
You
come
too. You
through,
too.
speak, and man, I just gotta give you another. I'm gonna give you a round of applause. Excellent job. You did it,
Thank
man. You did a great job. I mean, I know how the business goes, but I'm gonna say that your job helped the writers write more, hand in hand, the performance. And so you know,
Thank
you definitely brought Sax to life in a lot of different ways. And I can't wait to see what's next for you. And you know, hope the zombie thing. I love zombies. I would like to
you.
be in the zombie thing. I'd like to be a zombie and roll up and drive by, bite somebody or something. But zombie and the action movies, same thing. I would love to do that too.
Me
But
too. Like that's yeah. I want that's the next thing is I got to get really jacked and go do
hey,
something.
Hey,
do some,
or just
action.
slim down like Jason Statham or something. You ain't got to get too jacked nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. It does go a long way just getting thin.
Yeah. You
Like
ain't
Brad
too
Pitt.
big of a guy though. You got it. You might not need none. Just
I'm
punch
close.
somebody in the
I'm
make.
close.
Yeah,
I'm close. I mean, listen, it's not like Keanu is all jacked.
exactly. You got a similar build, actually.
You know, he's just kicking ass. So
Hey,
and the thing I like about that is that what's keeping him alive and pushing him through everything is grit. It's grit. You know, he's like Dwayne Johnson. It's like what's pushing him through is that he's more of a man than everybody else.
mm-hmm.
What's making Keanu survive is that he's just his willpower is
Mm-hmm.
bigger than anything in front of him, and that's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
It's hard not to like get into it, you know.
right.
Just taking down 20 guys in one scene.
Man, if somebody don't like John Wick, I don't. They don't have a pulse. So,
Speaking of, it's interesting. I think the body count. Well, because I looked up the other day the body count for Power.
That's got to be high.
It's over 100, and I feel like closer. I think it might be over 200.
That's what makes it such a blessing that you made it. You the last man out of that office. They cleared out a whole office.
The whole office is dead.
Right. They killed the whole office.
They're gonna have trouble. They're gonna have trouble hiring new people.
Right. They're gonna say, "What happened to the last office? Oh, they got killed."
What happened to everybody?
Right.
Oh, different things. You know, that person. Everybody they were murdered. They were all murdered. Yeah,
right. Oh man, that's insane. If that was real, that would be a front page news. The whole.
And they were all murdered by different people. That's the crazy thing. Like if they were murdered by like one person came in and murdered everybody, you'd be like, oh my God. But this is like over the series of 5-6 years, just different people murdering each and every.
Right. Yeah, that's worse than the gas station working there or something. So
that's dangerous, man. That's dangerous.
Definitely. Well, you take care. I appreciate you coming. And
pleasure talking to you.
Hey, same here always. You're more than welcome anytime. And definitely want to talk to you after the zombie thing come out and check back with you with other projects as well, man.
All right.
Wish you nothing but the best. You take care.
You too.
All right. Peace out.